Man, it would be so cool if all science fiction shows were like this because the season finale of Strange New World season 2 was just so good. It's about 4:45 in the morning here. Got up early like I do on Fridays to watch this and Foundation. I watched this one first today because it was the season finale, and I'm so glad I did because it was such a good episode. Easily a 10 out of 10 for me. I'm going to spoil all of it beyond this point, so if you don't want things spoiled, make sure you watch it first and then come back and we'll talk about it. But I've professed my love for Star Trek for a long time, and it has its ups and downs, and some shows are better than other shows, but they're all Star Trek to me, and I will watch all of them and like them all to varying degrees. And this one was a highly enjoyable episode. Last spoiler alert. We'll do a countdown, but also if you've never been here before, never watched one of my videos, and you like it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update with all the other shows I review, and of course all the stuff we do here with games and the podcasts and etc. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Wow, the Gorn are back, and I've been genuinely surprised at how well Strange New Worlds has done, like action horror. Maybe action suspense might be a better word, but there are some elements of horror and like alien movies, like the the Alien franchise, I should say, when we're dealing with the Gorn, and it's been very well done. I've been highly uh, critical of other shows, and I think that Star Trek does it right. The special effects, the VFX, everything in this episode was firing on all cylinders. There were some amazing VFX shots in space with the Gorn mothership, the Gorn destroyer, the Gorn hunters. Just, mm, but just really cool stuff around the table with everyone. And we got to meet a very young version of Dr. Scotty. Um, so a really good way to sort of tie it back into even more to the original franchise. Um, so yeah, we get this thing where Pike is talking to his girlfriend, and she's on this planet, right? And it's kind of a remote colony, and it made me laugh because it was like cosplay for real, or like Westworld. It's all these people living on a planet in full period costume and living the way from a certain time period, but still part of Starfleet and the Federation. And so they're receiving their annual vaccinations essentially and inoculations against all this stuff, and checking up on all you know the technology that's there to support the lifestyle. And the communications are a little wonky and it's fading in and out, and then they're having this touching moment between them, and then the communications go dead, and here comes this Gorn ship coming into the planet, and oh yeah, it cut off all communications somehow. So Pike's over there and he's like, oh, the signal cut out, that sucks. And then as he goes back to the bridge, um they get this he gets a call from the admiral, and it's all about, hey, the Gorns, that's technically not our territory. I know you want to go rescue, you know, and all this other stuff, but he won't let him go. So the alert comes in. They get the alert. There's Gorn. He wants to go rescue his girlfriend, and the Admiralty tells him, I only need you to recon and figure out what happened to this other ship that was there. And that's how he got the signal, by the way. I kind of skipped over that because my brain, I don't take show notes, and so my brain is all over the place. Once the signal went out, then he got that, they got the communications from the Admiralty that they had also received something from the Cayuga, I think it was called, and that's what they wanted Pike to go investigate. And then Pike puts it all together, and he's like, my girlfriend's down on that planet. They're like, no, you can't get her, just to recon. They show up, they find this other ship destroyed, right? And this is where we get all sorts of splintered, like, fragments of action that are all coming together in the end. So Chapel had beamed over to that ship um, before, and so one of the side plots here is that Chapel's missing, and Spock is trying to find where she's at in the wreckage, right? While Pike and an away team go down, Pike and Una and Kirk's brother Sam Kirk, and they go down to the planet to rescue Pike's girlfriend. And I forget who else was on that crew. And Ortega, because one of the coolest parts of the scene of this whole episode, when they're coming in and doing this landing, they got to go in under the radar. and to get past the Gorn ship. So they make the shuttle look like space debris from the Cayuga. If that's the name of it, I may be butchering the name, but the name of the other ship that got destroyed, they float through the wreckage, a classic Empire Strikes Back trick, of course. And then they're in this shuttle and she's flying them down. And it's funny because when they're on the ship, Pike's like, volunteers only, but you're the only one that can do this. And haven't you been bugging me to be a part of the landing party? And she's like, hell yeah, Captain. So she gets on this shuttle and they float past the space debris and then they got to do a hard just fall. They're just free falling through orbit. And she's, guiding the ship down and everybody on board is like, terrified. And she's like driving this thing with a shit-eating grin on her face the whole time because she's in her element. This is what she does. And Pike's like, I hope you know what you're doing. And she's like, I got you, Captain. I did this 100 times during the war. 1,500 meters. Here we go. And it was really well done. And they get planet side, and now they're dealing with like the zombie apocalypse, which is essentially the Gorn. They come across Scotty, who has managed to figure out a way to hide himself through engineering. And then along in the process of doing all of this, they discover that the swarming of the Gorn is timed to these solar flares that Scotty's crew was researching on another planet. His ship got attacked when they all just appeared. He got away in a shuttle, and this is an important piece of intel because they make the assumption that perhaps they're acting like locusts, and something about that solar flare brought them here to this planet. They've dropped a anti-communication device, and they're basically uh, turning all the people into food source and baby hatching sources. Like I said, very Alien franchise stuff here. But at the same time, like during the rescue mission, like one of the Gorn children chooses not to attack them, which is Pike's like, "What's up with that? I don't know." But while they're trying to, they eventually work their way and find his girlfriend, right, and some refugees that are left, some of the survivors of the colony that was there. And as they're trying to figure out how to take out the communications device, um, Pike's girlfriend reveals she's been infected, and she wants to take this shuttle that they found and pilot it into the communications array and bring it down. What they don't know is that back on the Enterprise, the crew have also been devising their own plan, and um, it involves taking, using it's the Gandalf wizard lady, right? And she's with Uhura, and they're figuring out if we can place some missiles on the array of the old ship that's now destroyed, we can make it spin out of its orbit but still look like it's a piece of space debris, and then we can use the rockets to do some fine tuning to crash it into the communications tower. And Spock says, "I'm the only one who can do that. Let me, I'm going to take care of it." So he goes through, in a spacesuit over to the saucer array and starts to plant these missiles, or not these missiles, these rockets. While that's happening, Chapel wakes up inside of the debris. I'm telling you, there's so many storylines going here. Chapel wakes up inside of this one of the sections of ship of the dish, um, and of the saucer, sorry. And she sees Spock. First, she wakes up and she's like trying to assess her situation, reconnect some cables, gets life support for 1 hour, and then she's looking out the window and she sees the Enterprise like tucked away behind this like piece of debris, hiding from the Gorn hunter ships, and she's like, "Oh my God, my crew!" And that's the crew watching the planet while Pike and everybody's down on the planet, and she's like, yes. And then as she's trying to figure out a way to signal to them, flashlight won't work and everything else, she sees Spock floating by and she's like, Spock, and he can't hear her. So she's running around trying to figure out how to get his attention, and then boom, here's a full-size Gorn in a spacesuit on the array and looking for survivors, I'm assuming, or intel or whatever. And there's then a zero-G fight sequence where it's Spock is setting the final trajectory for the rockets, and then the Gorn comes down behind him, just like an Alien franchise. It was great. It worked really, really well here. Comes down from the ceiling behind him, and he turns and he starts to fight, and it's kicking his butt. And then here comes Chapel, and now she joins the fight, and it was just a really cool. I mean, it was very cool for television. Zero G fight sequence, and of course, big happy reunion, and it's Spock's way of, there's a moment when they get back, because they do successfully launch the saucer array down the dish array down into that communications array and blow it up, which brings back comms and everything else. And when those two get back to the ship, there's this moment where Spock's like, "I'm sorry," and Chapel's like, "It's okay. I know that you care about me. You just rescued my ass." Like, you know, um, so so much crazy stuff going on. And then we get to the moment where essentially, you know, as they all get back to the ship, Pike wants to get all of the remaining people off the planet. All of the, quick. First, it was the away team and all his people, all his crew, and now it's time to get the colonists. And there's no colonists on the scanners. And as this is happening, a bunch of Gorn ships are arriving, and then they detect a signature that went to one of the Gorn ships. And they realize that all of their people who had been left behind have now been transported onto this Gorn ship, and they're just the Enterprise is getting pummeled by fire from all angles, and the crew is like, "What do you want to do, sir?" The admiral's like yelling at him over the line, "Retreat, retreat! Direct, immediate withdrawal, immediate withdrawal." And Pike is sitting here looking out the screen, torn because he wants to rescue his people, but he's facing an overwhelming odds, and then it fades to black and says to be continued, and I'm like, why did you give a brilliant cliffhanger? Now we know there is a season 3 coming, but obviously everything is on hold because of the writer's strike. Now this is a big enough, the actor strike as well, writers and actor strike. This is a big enough show for Paramount Plus. I highly doubt that they're gonna let the writers strike and actor strike do anything about season 3. It's on pause right now. They're not. They were supposed to be in the middle of production, but it's on hold right now because of all the strike stuff. So, who knows when that's going to resolve? But I don't think Paramount's going to let this go anywhere because it's been a great show and it's getting good reviews. And I think all the numbers up, as far as I'm aware, all the numbers are up. This is peak Star Trek. I think one of the favorite things for me, the Ortega scene probably takes the cake, but also there's this moment when Pike is facing the reality when he realizes that his girlfriend is down there and he needs to rescue her. Um, and he like he's like, ready room now, and he brings his first officers into the ready room. All the main bridge officer crew, and he's like, this is the situation. I'm going with or without you. Anybody wants to come with me, it's volunteer only. And there was a line of dialogue here. But the Pike thing is important, but there was also a line of dialogue that got spoken where somewhere along the lines they were saying something, and I'm going to paraphrase here. It was like, here's these new weapons that Starfleet has designed. He's showing them to them. We think they'll help us against the Gorn. They've been specifically designed for the Gorn. Excuse me. And I forget who says it, but there's a line where it's like, we'll be able to use these to research how to, destroy the Gorn. And Dr. Mbenga goes, I would like to be a part of that investigation. It's just like, I want to help you come kill Gorn. Like, but the way that was written was so good. But what really inspired me about this scene was it was like, here's the captain. Like, Pike is like a 15th level, you know, in D&D setting speakings. He's like a 15th level dude. And all of his crew members are, let's say 10th level. All of his officers are like 10th level. But this is epic scale stuff here. Like, we're not talking your run of the mill, let's go on a dungeon crawl. This is, we're going up against this all these ships, and we got to rescue these people off the planet, and this is high level campaign stuff happening here. And the D&D nerd in me, the tabletop nerd in me, was just like laughing so hard as he's recruiting all of his crew members to come join him. And you're looking at all of them going, like, all these people are highly specialized in their class, and they are really good at what they do. And there's this part where you got Pike and his folks down on the planet, and you got the crew of the Enterprise, and they're all working towards the same goal, which is destroy that communications array. And it was so well written because this is when you really understand how competent all of the bridge members and the ranking officers are in the Star Trek world. Like they're all extremely capable people. Like especially when you have characters like Scotty showing up, and you got the Gandalf lady engineer, and like Uhura's really badass at this, and Una's really bad at this, and Pike's badass at this, and Spock's bad at this, and Chapel's bad at this, and Minbara's badass at this. Like it's just it works. It really feels good. Um, Loved the episode. I just to be continued. Oh, this is what just happened, people. They cast that line and I nibbled and they're just reeling me in for season 3. Can't wait. Love to hear your thoughts. Drop them down below. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. We're doing other shows. We're doing Foundation right now. We got Star Wars Ahsoka's coming up and more stuff. Plus film reviews. Chris and I just watched Sisu the other day. Gotta review that one. We're watching 1883 right now. So stay tuned. More stuff coming in the pipeline. Check out all the other playlists, podcasts, Discords down below. Support if you can. Memberships, super chat, super thanks. See you, everybody.